Welcome to Podheim, Jirok's Valheim podcast. Let's give him the business.
Hey everybody, today is May 16th, 2024. I'm your host, Josep the Viking, and joining me today are my fellow Vikings, Shield Maiden, Morning Darkness.
Good morning.
Good morning. It is morning for 6 a.m. in the morning, as a matter of fact. And we also have with us Ironate developer Jonathan Smars. Thank you for joining us today, Jonathan.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And good evening to you.
Yeah, it's late afternoon, evening-ish.
Yeah, afternoon. Yeah, it's always funny trying to coordinate with everyone because we have players and developers all over the world, especially like when we're trying to work with our European players and our Australian players. It's really hard to get everybody together, but that's actually one of the great things about the game is that it seems like everybody's playing it, from almost every continent on the world.
Oh, it's good. Somebody will be online all the time.
Yeah, that's basically it. Someone's online all the time. Well, Jonathan, for those who might not know you, there's probably new players coming in all the time. Can you explain your role on the Ironate team and, what your role was for the Ashlands update?
Yeah, so I'm the lead engineer on Valheim and also designer. And we're a small group of people building Valheim and kind of leading the development together with Robin and Andreas. Pretty much. And we all wear a lot of hats, so do a little bit of everything, but mostly coding and design on my part.
Nice. Now, have you played the Ashlands yourself?
I've played it to death. Like we have been, I'm going to say, in some respects, we have been much better at playtesting this time around. And in some respects, not good enough. We have played it so much, but we also have been bad at playing it in its entirety time and time again because things change. And then you just change one little thing and then actually the whole progression will change. So I wouldn't say that I've experienced it in its full form, actually, because in the end of it, it's just like fixing the last stuff, one more thing. But I've seen every single corner a lot of times, I would say. So yeah, and on Ashlands, I did all of the. I don't want to say all of it because we have a team member now who does a little bit of code as well, and she does some good stuff too. But I've been on Ashlands working on all the new features and setting everything up code wise. I could say.
So when we've seen those maps that they post over on Twitter with all the little death markers, are some of those yours?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we die a lot as well, and I'm definitely not the best player at Ironate. Not the worst, but I definitely do die. I know you saw we kind of did a little improv stream at the live release, and I was dying a lot in the end, and they were getting tired of helping me corpse run because corpse running in Ashlands is difficult, as you may have noticed.
Yes.
Well, MD will notice because she went in, I guess, with an existing character, who had conquered the Mistlands and then went in. I started a new server for my community, and so I jumped in with a new character. So I've got to go through the progression before I get to really jump in myself. I've been over there in admin mode, but that's just for making videos. But I love the starting over. I know some people, they like to keep their world and everything they've done, but for me, I love to start over and just go through the whole grind again and then work my way up.
I'm probably doing both right now.
Yeah, you're probably doing both. I was gonna say. Well, so when you play the Ashland, there's obviously, I have a lot of questions for you, as a programmer. There's a lot of interesting things going on behind the scenes, some things players might not even know. But when you're in the Ashlands, did you have a favorite weapon that you like to use?
Yeah, I like the Berserker axes. And
Yeah.
I have to say, I mean, I like the what do we call them now? Not the blood axes, but the primal berserker axes.
Oh.
But it's because we did have some variants of that before release that were different, so they were actually a little bit better before we released them. I would say.
Oh, they were a little overpowered before
Yeah, they
release?
were. So we had to.
So the primal axes are the one that trap creatures, right?
No. Oh no, sorry, not the primal. The blood. What are they called even?
Okay.
I mean, they were called like blood, nature, and lightning for most of the part, and then we ended up
Got it.
giving them more unique names, like yeah, connected to what they are, but not as the samey. So
Okay.
yeah, the blood axes.
Got it.
But
Yeah,
I've always
so
been an axe and spear player in Valheim, and I think
okay.
like it's always so convenient to just how like you have your axe, you can also chop trees. You don't have to have multiple
Yeah.
weapons.
No, I remember you said that when we interviewed you before, that you really liked the axe because of its utility, but before it was always too slow. And I
Yeah.
actually thought of you when these axes dropped. I was like, oh,
Yep.
they got the
Yep.
speed boost. I wonder who was behind that.
Well, actually, I'm gonna blame Robin. I think Robin is the
Oh,
one who spearheaded those and one of
nice.
them. But I'm definitely sitting in the back, like, yep, I really want these. So
Nice.
I'm very happy for them.
Well, so many players may not know that there's something really new to the weapon system in the Ashlands, and that's the fact that you can sort of enchant them with 3 different abilities, and that's blood, a storm, and a nature effect. And you're specifically saying that you really enjoy the blood effect. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did. We changed it like in the end, but I did. But I also, I mean, I think all the effects are nice. I mean, I really enjoy the chain lightning as well. I had a lot of fun making it because like you tweak it a little bit too much, and then all of a sudden it'll just explode like every single enemy, and it just bounces forever, and then the game crashes or like you lose all the FPS. So yeah, it was fun also making them. And one thing about those is that I think we've had some feedback where people are like, oh, they're not strong enough, and they see them as like they're supposed to be this huge upgrade, whereas that was never really the thought. Like they're more of a like play style, like flavor or spice to your weapon rather than being like this is going to be the next big thing. So hopefully people will catch up to that eventually and think that, I mean, it's still something new and something that gives you a choice rather than just being like, oh, it's always just going to be better.
Yeah, I'm curious. How did the blood axes change based on what you were playing with versus what they are now? Because I did have someone in my group try to go with the blood axes, and they were really frustrated with how it was playing out.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit. They're not as overpowered anymore. Maybe even a bit weak compared to the others. In the beginning, like we had some different ideas where they were like damage return or stamina return, or even things where like you would, if you kill something with them, they would explode in blood, and if you collect that blood, you would get like HP back and stuff like that. So yeah, we had some different ideas, but
Oh my.
but I don't know. It's like there's always a lot of good ideas, but you have to test it out and see what works, and also like balance wise, so you're not shooting yourself in the foot down the road where something will always be too overpowered if it like scales too well, or if you can like cheese it in some way, and also just it has to feel like Valheim. It shouldn't feel like too over the top, too like everything is magical, like Christmas lights everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, can you explain real quick for those who might not know what exactly each of those enchants are, the blood, the storm, and the nature? What do each of those effects do now? What did you, I mean, obviously you said there's some iterations, and what did you land on? What do they do now with this current release?
Yeah, I need to make sure that I'm
you might be thinking of an earlier version.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But I mean, the nature or the primal, they add a root effect. So you're actually like all of them. Well, okay. So nature, there's a chance every hit that you will root your opponent, that they will be stuck in place and you can run away. which is useful in a lot of ways, like crowd control, and it can be really useful in some ways, quite overpowered actually. But it's strong, and then you have Storm, which is basically a chain lightning where you can get the extra lightning damage, which will bounce between enemies, and then Blood, which will increase the damage according to your how much HP you're lost. So if you have like 1 HP, you'll be doing a lot more damage. If you have 50% HP, then you'll be doing quite a bit more damage. If you have 100%, then you'll just do the normal amount. So it's kind of like a risk reward thing. But it's also really hard to balance the last one there, because if you make it too strong, it's always just going to be the best weapon in the game, because people run around with 10 HP and just be like one shotting stuff. But if you make it too weak, then nobody wants to use it. So yeah, it's somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, when the PTB first hit, I posted some things on YouTube about Ashlands, and in the comments I noticed most of the comments saying, lightning's the best one. I'm only going to use lightning. Right now, do you agree that it's the best one, or can you convince some of the people out there why some of the other ones might be good as well?
I think it's just like that's an internet effect. Like somebody says it's the best one, and a lot of people just be like, "Okay, good. Then I don't have to make my own choice." And also, like somebody will show some numbers and show this is the best one, and it'll be the best one, like on paper, until somebody else picks up a different one and shows, "Yeah, but if we use this other one in this way, it's actually going to be better." So I don't feel that. I feel that they are pretty balanced. Like I'm sure somebody would disagree with me, but I think that for different situations and like making it situational, definitely in certain situations one will be better than the other one. But that's just interesting then, because then you could actually use all of them in different situations.
Which leads to more inventory challenges.
Yeah, everybody loves the inventory size, right? That's never been
since we're talking, you mentioned inventory. I know that there was a challenge with getting the new Drakkar ship. It can't have more storage because of the way that I guess it's an interface thing, right?
Yeah, I mean the size of the box that's as big as it gets. We could always increase the size of the box, but then we'd have to like rescale some other UI stuff, and I mean, we can do it. It's just like we decided, like in this case, it's big enough. It is pretty big. I don't think that will be the limiting factor. I think if anybody wants more inventory space, it's not really the size of boxes that's the biggest issue. It's probably the actual inventory.
Well, yeah, and there's other ways to deal with inventory too, right? You could always increase stack size, or in the case of the Drakkar ship, I mean, you could add a second storage to that thing, right? Like,
we can do that.
If you really wanted to give it more storage and keep the same interface. Well, because it has the one storage hatch in the front, couldn't it just have a second one in the back somewhere?
I heard that they tried and it didn't work.
Yeah, there's a technical limitation there where that's why we haven't done it. Like, I mean, like I'm at the office, I'm the enabler. Like I know some people are like somebody says, "Can we do this?" and they're like, "No, that's kind of complex, so that we don't want to do that." When somebody asks me, I'm almost always be like, "Yeah, of course we can do it. We could do it. We can do almost anything we want." It's just like, what is the amount of complexity and how much time is it going to take and how many things might we break? So there's always those considerations. But at the moment, it's not really easy to do it. And like if a mod would try to do it, for example, it's probably going to be a little bit difficult. But if we decided that's something we want, of course, we could just put down the time and add that support. But at the moment, the way it's set up doesn't really support it.
Yeah. Getting back to the weapons real quick, I had a question. So Storm, it does a little bit extra damage because it has this lightning effect that bounces around, and the Blood does more damage because as your health goes down, your damage increases. Does the nature effect have more damage with the root? Does it do any damage, or is it just a root effect?
I think it's just a root, right?
Well, okay, so let me explain to you, Jirok, a little bit of what this feels like when you're in battle.
Yeah.
So if you're battling something, like especially with the warriors who have like really significant reach, and you go in and then they get rooted, you can just go around behind them, not get attacked, and just finish the job. So it freezes them in place. Now it doesn't always work. It doesn't work on the vultures.
So they can't turn when they're rooted? Is that also?
No, they cannot turn when they're rooted. The Morgan can still roll, but it will roll and then it'll be rooted again. It's weird. But it's
does this sound right, Jonathan?
Yeah,
Intentional.
I mean, you're informing me about how this works. So I mean, it's good to know. Like, I mean,
no, it feels really good because I'm using the Primal Nithug, and it feels so good. You're just like in there. You're trying not to die to these warriors because like anytime a 1-star warrior shows up, I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna die. Like 100% of the time, I cannot get the blocking timing down. There's so many different things. Like it's a 50-50 chance if I can even parry it. But if he gets rooted, I'm just like, ta-da, I'm moving behind.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like that's why I feel like probably the primal ones are, if anything, the more overpowered ones because you can like damage is damage,
right? But that when that root happens, you're just the relief is intense.
Get a bit of a break.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Like people should like them for different reasons.
Yeah,
so and great. They do like a little bit of poison damage, but I don't think it's very significant.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the poison to it. I'll say.
Oh, it's the poison damage that it adds.
Yeah. I will say I think my favorite thing about I have the lightning axes, and I think my favorite thing about those is that when I'm chopping trees and it alerts everything, it's like the dinner bell, you know. Fleshy is over here. I will be cutting trees, and then the lightning damage will branch out to the twitchers as I'm chopping trees, and I'm like, yes.
Yep. Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, there you go, everyone who's wondering which is the best weapon. I think it depends on the situation, but primal sounds actually really fun if it roots enough the enemies, and they can't turn, so you can just run behind them.
They are all fun for different reasons. I will say that the blood feature I haven't really played with because the people in my group who did try it were just like.
Yeah, I mean it's also like it's for the type of player who is really good at blocking, dodging, and just be like, oh, I'm fine. Like if they can play through the whole game without dying, they could play through the whole game at half HP without dying, and then they would be doing more damage.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe they're ranged, maybe they're staying out of sight, and they could have a bit more damage. So I'm sure there are some people who'd be like, oh, that's the strongest one, I'm never going to use the other ones. But you never know too. Like it's always good with feedback. Like we always have to go through and look at like the balance of stuff too. So we always do listen to feedback and try to look at like if anybody's trying to like make a good argument to why this one is too strong or too weak, then we may look at it again. But I think we found some points where we're pretty happy with it.
All right, so since we're on weapons, I didn't get to ask this question earlier, and it may not be appropriate here, but I'll ask it anyway. Just you can say, if it doesn't work. Was it intended for your blood magic skill level to not go up with the use of the troll staff?
Probably not. No.
Okay. Because like I get why they're no one's friends. I see why that's a thing. We were doing some science with the troll staves the other night, and you can summon it and land it on a copper mine, and the whole copper mine is gone. Or the copper node is gone. Just like maybe 2 or 3 chunks left, but you don't even have to like dig underground. The whole thing is just gone.
That's one of those things you might not want to tell a developer because that might be counted as a bug, or maybe we'll just think it's fun and we'll leave it there. But
it's Black Forest.
I'm just gonna pretend I didn't hear it.
That doesn't really matter. But they can't take out silver nodes, and they can't take out any of the nodes, the ancient armor and the mislins.
But it could probably still do damage, though, doesn't it? Or I mean,
too hard. They literally do the
Okay.
same level of damage that normal trolls can in terms of like what they can or cannot break.
Okay.
So we
Mm.
were actually having some big fun with that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna touch it until somebody actually reports this as a bug, but it's probably just because it happens to have pickaxe damage at a certain tier. Maybe that was intentional, maybe not, but
no, but like
it's fun. So let's just
specifically the when you summon the trolls, your blood magic doesn't go up. Now I get,
yeah.
if they're not if they're not friendly to you, they're not, whether or not they get hit, your skill levels ain't gonna go up for that reason. But
Yeah.
it's one of those where it feels really uncomfortable and unbalanced for, if you keep dying in the Ashlands, but
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah, I
have a
think, I
way of
mean, I would,
raising
you're
those
more than
levels.
welcome to report that
Sure.
as a
Yeah.
bug. Like, at least the
Report it as
leveling
a
part
bug.
of it,
Got it.
I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, yeah.
is something that we should look at. Like, I can tell you why it doesn't do it, because they
Okay.
are not technically, like, the other summons are
They're not
your
your
pets,
friends.
but these are just monsters.
They
So
are not your friends. No, I
they're
get
not your
that.
friends.
I
So we
totally
probably should add that support. Yeah.
like, I understand on a fundamental level, but I was just curious if that was intended or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually writing a couple of book reports right now.
Yeah. Yeah. You're more welcome to. I mean, I won't promise anything here, because we always have
Oh.
to talk through it and see, like, okay, what are the implications of that? But I do feel it doesn't make sense to give somebody a magic staff and not be able to level up the skill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Well, talking about creatures, Jonathan,
Yes.
did you have a favorite creature or a couple of favorite creatures that you specifically were involved in programming that you really enjoyed, or were there ones that were, introduced some challenges that you guys had to figure out?
I can tell you that quite a few, well, several of the creatures gave us quite a bit of headaches, because like we weren't sure with what we wanted to do with them, and I had to like redo stuff and redo it again. So it's more like, which one do I hate the least?
Oh.
But no, it's fine. Some of them were like kind of a headache, but I like in the Ashlands, I'd have to say my favorite is probably the Twitchers, actually, because I think they're just fun to kill. You can like go through a lot of them pretty quickly, and also it was pretty fun to make. Like we did a few AI like tweaks there, added some support for like tweaking how the AI works in certain ways, where they will be just make them like that right point of annoying, where they're in your face, but at the same time they're running away, and they're not only running away, they're also throwing stuff at you and
Yes.
doing this, like, just find that sweet spot of annoying. So yeah.
It reminds me of the Grey Dwarfs, where they would hit you but then run away and throw stuff at you.
Yeah, exactly.
I think were they the ones that were referred to as the Grey Dwarfs of the Ashlands?
I don't. Not that I remember, but I mean, it's like most of the AI in the game is based on the same thing, but
Yeah.
they of course have different variables, so they work and feel very differently depending on their attacks and lots of the parameters, of course. But I do for that one we did add a few new things so that it'll behave a bit differently.
So is the AI more sophisticated then for the Ashlands creatures than it is for creatures in other biomes, or is it just like you pretty much using the same thing with some tweaks?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I saw some video on YouTube. Somebody was like, "Oh, they have upgraded the AI and everything is better now," and I was like, "No, we didn't." But I'm happy you feel that way. I'm happy you think that it's so good now. I mean, it's basically they use the same system as before. Like we're not going to reinvent something that works, but we do add certain things now and then. Like, oh, we want them to have this type of behavior, so like add this little tweak, and really small changes in AI can do a big difference because of like the whole package of like they're actually like supposed to be a living animal, like a living creature running around doing something, and just give them one more thing to do and it'll feel very different. So it'll probably feel like an upgraded version.
Yeah. And speaking of upgrades, you guys recently did a big Unity update, right? And did that introduce many challenges?
I mean, internally, it's been a while since we did it.
Okay.
But upgrading Unity is it's never completely pain-free. But I think like the past few ones have been okay. Let's see. It was a while ago, so I know we had some issues with it this time too. But I probably what do you say? When you have bad memories, you try to not remember it. No, but it's been fine. It's no real issues. Nothing big this time around.
Okay. So I heard that I don't know what the creature's called, but I'm just going to refer to it as the lava leviathan. That they would harvest resources from.
Oh yeah.
Get the metal
The
from.
metal nodes.
Yeah, the metal nodes.
Yeah.
I heard that getting it to work properly was a bit of a challenge. Can you talk about that, or some of the other programming challenges for the Ashlands? Because you've introduced this new biome with new mechanics. Were there some that you really enjoyed? Were there some that were really technically challenging?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the Flametal nodes, they had a few issues. Like there was there's been a few things that have been not really working completely well with them. I mean, they are basically based off the leviathans in the ocean, so they work the same way. And then we realized when you have them and you're interacting with them a lot more, then you realize that there are a few things there are a few issues, and they've always been there. You just never notice them because you're mostly out in the ocean.
Oh no! Oh no! Don't. It is inherently unnerving and uncomfy when that starts to happen.
Wait, on the Flametal or in the ocean, you mean?
Both, but mostly the ocean. Like, because that's where I've experienced it first. Now that the minute it started happening on the Flametal nodes, I was like, oh, they based this off the Leviathan. This is gonna sink. Like, I didn't even know it was gonna sink at first, but as I was climbing up and I started to slide, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that. And I was actually able to tell people, this feels like the Leviathan. Be prepared for it to sink. And then it did, and they were like,
Yeah, but I think hopefully it's good enough at this point. But there might always be issues. It's just recently released now, so
I have yet to successfully mine Flametal without dying in the lava. Even when throwing down basalt, even when, clearing the mobs around the area, and have yet to survive.
Maybe try not to take all of them. Like, just be happy with a few. I could say in the beginning, like those things they would go down as soon as you started mining. So you'd only get like a few pieces every time, and you'd have to like mine 3 pieces and then just go. But now we increase that. We decrease the chance of them going down quite a lot. So if you're lucky, you can be there for a while.
Deeply appreciate that. Yeah, we were doing the tests I was telling you about with the troll staff, and we summoned the trolls onto the Flametal. They didn't seem to be able to do any damage to the Flametal, but interestingly, when we did it, they were summoned to the middle of the node. And the minute we started clearing the area, they like crawled out of the center. It was the most creepy, disturbing thing and threw us off. And it was a risky science experiment.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing all the ways that you guys can break the game. So we have something to do to fix it up as well.
Break the game? We're just figuring out what we can or can't do.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing, and I mean, it's a fine line between stuff that needs fixing or stuff that's just like, oh, that's just a fun way to play the game. So we definitely don't try to ruin the fun. If it's fun enough and it doesn't ruin if it doesn't ruin it too bad, then we just leave it there.
Yeah. No, it was really one of those moments where it was just like, oh no, try and find out. Oh, this was bad for you. This was really bad for you.
Yeah.
So what other mechanics in the Ashlands were really new that required some thought and technical?
I guess the whole like fortress thing, where like having big locations like that, spawning of them. The lava, just having lava, getting that to feel right and sinking down and dying and being slow and being the whole heat mechanic of that, how that's supposed to work. The catapults, that was both
Yeah.
frustrating but also fun. Like, I mean, I'm really glad that we made them, but there's been a few like iterations with like various amounts of bugs on those.
Yeah, so
Um,
I was actually gonna ask you about that. I remember seeing a clip several months ago where you would put something into the catapult and it would just multiply whatever.
yeah,
Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the journey of that? Because I mean that had me in stitches. I was laughing so hard.
yeah, exactly. Those are the like the fun bugs that you're like trying something and all of a sudden like that's what I mean. The game explodes and then it crashes. But and that was fun. Like every single frame, it would like it's supposed to launch. Well, it didn't really do anything it was supposed to, but it was like at some point it's supposed to launch and shoot away one of these projectiles. Like you put a rock in it or something. And then instead of doing that, it would just like spawn one every single frame. And then also that is like a physics object, so that will start pushing it away. So it actually became like its own little jet engine of shooting. Like I think it was wood in the clip, but something like it
Yeah.
will just start spouting wood, a few hundred pieces of wood. It looks fun, but that's part of the fun of making games is finding these fun little bugs.
Yeah. So speaking of bugs, what was the most difficult challenge that you faced in bringing Ashlands to the public test branch?
And in bugs, you mean like
Yeah.
okay.
Like I try not to like I'm trying not to okay, let me be clear. I'm trying not to word this in such a way that it sounds like your game is so buggy. Here's all the bugs. No, like I'm just what was the most difficult challenge that you faced?
I don't know. There wasn't anyone that stands out really. Like, there's definitely been, like, there's always going to be stuff. Like, there's not been any like real world breaking. Like we've had world eating bugs before and things like that that are super scary. So nothing like that. I guess maybe one of the more annoying ones was also super boring. But like when you have the lava and it's like the terrain is different heights. There is a bug in the system where the cracks between the zones, like the world is split into zones, and you'd see this like the lava would be this height here and a little bit lower next to it, so you could see through the world.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've still been seeing a lot of that.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that can still happen, but it's now it's there's two reasons for it to happen, and the main reason is fixed. So like it was a little bit everywhere before, and that's been fixed, but that was also a little bit annoying because it's about how the game was structured beforehand. So we had to add like an extra line of data points to save to keep the heights to be correct. And that means that I don't know if you've noticed, but anything, and maybe I'll just ruin this for all the builders here, but like every paved road, every like cultivated land has shifted slightly, like 1/64th of a zone size. Has it like it's been like resized slightly down to make room for this extra line of data that has to be there. And yeah, sure, there are ways that we could have like say we could have blurred that and resampled it and stuff, but that's not really worth the effort, and it won't look perfect anyway. So that still was kind of one of those more boring, annoying bugs to fix. Very technical.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, it's still kind of there, but now it's because of the zone. It's because of the location. Like the fortresses are so big that they're over the edges of a zone, and that's yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have noticed that it happens near a fortress. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool to know.
Yeah, it's also good to know that it's still there because we have done multiple iterations of trying to tweak that so it doesn't happen, and I wasn't sure if it was still happening or not. So I guess it is.
It was happening in the PTB. I haven't seen it since live release.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
We are getting the lines at the zone changes again, where like if you have cultivated land and then you see just this like strip of plain dirt,
Yeah,
those happened during Mistlands, and I thought they were fixed, but now I think they're back.
yeah, I
have
know.
noticed
That's
that.
that's like my the actual. I have a number of bugs, like small, low priority stuff that I need to fix still, and
Got it.
that's probably the top of the list. And
Okay.
it's also super annoying. Been looking at it like, yeah.
No, it's
but
been there
it,
for a while. I get that that would be annoying.
yeah, but it's also like just trying to balance out fixing everything because it's still like it's
Yeah.
important, but there's a lot of other things that come up that is more important. Like this, it's a visual thing, and it's not.
Right.
And like if you have grass, you probably won't even see it. Like most people won't notice it. It never breaks the game. It doesn't crash the game in any way. So there's usually something else comes in the way, and then I have to focus on that instead.
Right. Yeah, it's aesthetic more than anything else.
Yeah.
So there's a new fire mechanic in the game, and are you happy with it?
I'm super happy with it. Are you happy with it?
No, it's terrible. Well, so let me explain.
Let's hear it.
So one, we don't have any way to put the fire out. We don't have a bucket with water. Well, you can break the piece. You can break. There's a way to put it out.
There's multiple ways. I'm surprised, but now here you go. Now I'm going to give you some info so you can make videos about it. And
there we go. Let's hear it.
Okay. No, but I want to hear you tear this apart, and then I'll.
Well, yeah. So the story is, I started my new server, right, and a couple of people were interested in having the fire effect turn on for the entire world, right? Like that's a modifier. But they had already built their village, right? And when they build their village, they build all their houses out of wood, and they build their campfires, right next to the wood. And so I turned it on, and the whole village caught on fire, and everybody's running around breaking pieces because we have no idea how to put the fire out. So they're tearing down the houses so the fire doesn't spread. And I don't know the console command to turn it off. So I have to go look that up. Finally, I figure out what it is. I come back while the village is still burning, and then I turn it off. And, they're like half the village, and they're rebuilding, and some people are mad. But and they say,
okay. This story that you're telling me, this is why. This is why it is there. I mean, wasn't that fun though? Like, I mean, it was also.
It actually was a little chaotic fun for me, but some people, and maybe for others too, but a few of them were really upset by it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an option. So like, we were discussing like, is this going to be turned on for everybody? And like, I mean, I was more like, yeah, we should, but then like, no, we shouldn't. And like, it's an option. So you did actively choose to have this. They asked for it in some way. So it's kind of like you play with fire, you're going to get burned, and you're going to burn down your house if you're not careful. So like, first off, I would say it sounds like you had a pretty interesting Valheim experience there. So it's a memorable experience, and that's something that we're going for. Second of all, if you did build a house out of wood in the forest, would you place your fireplace right next to all your wood pieces, like in reality? Probably not. So now you have to like think about that a bit more. Like, okay, I have a fire here. I need to like it's just one of those things. Like you need to build a chimney for the fire. Now you also have to think about like, okay, nothing that'll catch fire too close to the fire sources. Yeah, so I think it's still the most fun way to play the game. But
I agree, but we need more ways to put the fire out. But you said there are some ways.
You just don't know of them. So.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so maybe it's on us, but I guess we also like to find that people figure things out. So instead of destroying pieces, you could actually repair them. If you repair things, it will actually it will actually remove the fire.
Oh, so the piece that was burning is being damaged, and if I just ran up and repaired it instead of deconstructing it would have put the fire out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Just sorry, one second. So yeah, if you repair a piece that has a fire on it, that piece will stop burning. So it's actually pretty easy to run around and just like repair every single piece.
Oh yeah, that actually would. Okay, so what about a tree? If a tree's on fire, you can't repair a tree.
You can't repair a tree, but trees is burning. So there's also other ways to put out fires. And the other way, I guess it comes later in the game, because I mean, fires were originally intended only for Ashlands. And then you have this spoiler, but then you have a smoke bomb that you can throw out. And that's like an area of effect. Smoke kills fire, even though it also created by fire. But like you can create smoke, and the smoke will put out the fire. And also, like if a building is burning, and it's a lot of fire on the inside, and the smoke is trapped, it's actually gonna like turn off, put out itself, because that's like. I could add that I actually work as a fireman, so maybe that's why I like the fire so much. But like one of the ways we put out, like as a firefighter, when you put out a fire is actually you close all the doors and the windows
Yeah,
to
you
the house.
smother it so it doesn't have
Yeah.
oxygen as a fuel source. Yeah.
Exactly. So you could it's not that it's really a viable strategy, but if you have a building that's contained, it will stop burning eventually. But maybe it opens up at some point, and then you're gone anyway. But anyway, you can repair it away, and you can throw smoke bombs at it.
Okay.
So and just to be even more boring, like I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's a console command to just like remove the fires. Maybe I shouldn't
not
tell you that.
everyone has access to console commands.
No, exactly. So I mean, it's a cheat. So I mean, you shouldn't be cheating anyway. So
Yeah.
but
Well,
like
I mean,
if that would happen in a bad situation. So.
You're technically cheating if you turned it on, right, with a console command so that your Meadows house starts burning.
No, it's available in the world modifiers.
Oh, it
so-
is just a world modifier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you
What
can
do you remember the name of that world modifier?
fire
Yeah.
hazards.
Yeah.
Oh, fire hazards. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I would love to play with that mechanic some more. And maybe even try to convince my community to let me turn it on again. But
Yeah, I think like turning it on when you've already built a village is a really bad idea, because if it's on from the start, you would notice while building, like, ooh,
yeah,
that was too close.
It's on fire.
And then something burns down, and then you learn your lesson there. But turning it on when you already have a village is probably not a good idea.
As we learned the hard way.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Definitely.
what other things can catch on fire? Can things like boats or carts catch on fire?
You would have to experiment. Like I would say most things can catch on fire that are made out of wood. Like we enabled most things, but also of course disabled things like rock, stone and things. So
right.
so I mean pretty much everything you build that is made out of wood should be able to burn, and also like trees.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to play.
I think it's a very fun mechanic. I also saw some other comments like, I understand, like, don't turn it on for a wooden village if you don't want it to burn. Play with it from the start, like play with it together with no map and some other stuff, and you'll have a much more immersive game. But it's definitely not for everybody. And also, one more way to put it out. This is also Ashland spoiler, so you could skip it if you want to. But there's a building you can build in Ashlands that stops fire from spreading. It's
a building or a build piece?
I mean, it's the shield. There's this shield bubble thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh right.
And that thing will allow you to. Fire can still happen. Like if a wooden piece is like indirect fire, that piece will burn, but it won't spread. Like the cinders that are jumping out from the fire, they won't.
The shield literally prevents that from spreading.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm not sure the lore here, but like some kind of a cooling effect. Like you're also like allowed to plant within the sphere, which you can't do in Ashlands otherwise. So it has some uses.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that you can now plant certain plants in the Ashlands biome, but you can't like put the shield in the Mistlands and plant those same plants in the Mistlands biome. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's might be one of those things we have to think about.
Yeah. Well, speaking of plantable items, the plantable ash vines were a wonderful addition. Everybody loves those, especially like they grow up on walls and buildings and stuff, and they actually produce a fruit, right? Like the grapes.
Yeah.
Is there any possibility that we're going to get the ability to grow the green vines, or is that just off the table?
First of all, I have to take back my comment about not having one of the biggest issues in the game. Like working on
okay.
Now that I'm missing the English word for this, but like when you have a trauma and you're trying to forget something, what is that called? Repressed, yeah. I've definitely repressed these memories because I'm a huge fan of the vines. I really wanted us to do this, so I'm happy that we did. But like working on those, there's been a lot of iterations, which makes the code really messy for them. So there's like, don't look at the code, anybody.
I'm trying to grow a vineyard and it feels kind of messy.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, exactly. There are a few things with them that they're still not really working 100%, I would say, but they've been kind of messy. Like there's been some issues with them coming and going, but they work now. But hopefully, I will have some time to get sort out a few issues with those as well.
I look forward to hearing about the progression of that because, like, when we first got them, you know, it was like, oh, they grow really fast and they drop grapes really fast, and it was exciting and wonderful. And then it was like, oh, now they can't grow on both sides of a build piece. I'm like, valid, but now they grow really slowly too. And I actually have them inside one area and they just don't grow at all. They don't grow like they're in an internal circle in a farm and they don't grow at all on the inside of the stone wall. And then I was making a vineyard and I was following the things where it said, okay, you have to have them be only on one build side, you know, build piece side. And so I can have them a meter apart. I can have the build pieces a meter apart, but to plant a seed, I have to have the seeds a little bit more than a meter and a half wide. Otherwise, they don't grow. And sometimes, if you don't get it just close enough to one piece, it'll switch to the backside of the other piece. And it's real. I was working with that. And I was like, this is
Tricky,
really
sounds
arbitrary to figure out how this is supposed to be working.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of those technical things that
yeah.
Exactly. There are some technical things that gets in the way, but like not having them on both sides, I can say that's not intentional. They're supposed to be able to grow on both sides. I mean, they will take the nearest piece. They will try to attach to the nearest piece, but we also don't want them to be like spammed too much. So they definitely can. They also block each other off a little bit, but there are some issues with that. So.
Okay.
So hopefully I will get to spend even more time with fixing them because it's so much fun.
Okay. All right. But back to the question.
The question about the green ones.
Yeah. What happened to the green ones?
Can we
exactly. Like, I mean, while we don't like to promise stuff, I do think that we probably will be seeing a green one eventually because why not? They're fun. So
please.
And does that mean that they'll have a fruit as well, or will they just be the green vine growing for the aesthetic?
Yet to be decided. I think.
Yet to be decided. Yeah.
Summer present, just fine. It doesn't have to grow anything. Just.
Yeah, I mean, could be, but then there's always the fact that we're like, some things don't have a real purpose, but we do want everything to have a purpose for some reason. So.
I know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that it stood out to me right away when I saw that the ash vines grew grapes. I thought, that's why they, let us finally do it, because it has a purpose, because it's fruiting for us. It's not just, hey, they're letting us use them to decorate with, which a lot of players love the decorative, quality that they bring. And I thought to myself, that probably means that the green ones we can't grow because there's no reason for a fruit in the meadows or whatever, right? Like, because those biomes are pretty much already balanced out with all the resources that they're giving. So,
yeah,
guess we'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see, but I think we want to. So hopefully we'll just find a way to do it correctly. So,
yeah. So, did you have a favorite feature with the Ashlands biome update that you really, whether you enjoyed it as like from a player or maybe just from like the programming perspective, like it was a fun challenge to do? Was there something that stood out? It sounds like the vines were maybe the pain in the butt one. Was there one that
I really wanted the vines, but they've been a pain in the butt. I mean, I'll have to be really evil here and say the fire, because I really wanted the fire to happen. Like,
I had a feeling that was going to be your answer.
the funny story about the fire too is that actually the original OG fire comes from a branch in the code, which is really, really old. Like one of Richard's original, like he was thinking, this maybe should start burning like years and years ago. So it's like there's a really old version of it actually working. Some parts of it were working then. So I think it was when I was working on the other world modifiers, like a good time before Hilder, like pre-Mistlands, I was working on the fire. and I was like, this is fun. We should add this as a modifier, just like in all the other modifiers, just like, oh, let's just enable fire to start burning stuff. But we didn't really finish it, and we didn't really feel like, okay, this is maybe not right now, maybe for Ashlands or something. So it's been in the oven for a long time, and I feel it was really nice to get it in now, like have it a natural place, like with the meteors and the cinders and stuff. So yeah, I enjoy it being there. But then again, I've yet to play. I mean, I haven't played a full playthrough from the beginning, so I look forward to doing that at some point and seeing if I actually do really like it. We'll
yeah, maybe you'll see the pain that the players go through trying to deal with fire. Although knowing that we can repair the piece to put out fire, that seems like that would help and make it a lot less stressful. Until your forest starts completely burning around you because you can't repair trees.
Yeah, you could always chop them down, and I mean, like,
which takes time because that fire spreads fast. Have you seen how fast the fire spreads? My goodness, it spreads fast.
I tweaked the numbers so it does. Like,
yeah,
I actually wanted it to spread more and faster, but I think we found a decent spot. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I think really, I mean, it in a way, it's like when we put in like, okay, repairing actually removes it. I feel it's a bit too easy to remove the fire now, but at the same time, we do like to be nice to players. Like, you're playing a game for fun, not to be a chore. So as long as it's like it's mainly fun, I still think it's probably the right choice. So it's not too hard to get rid of the fire, I would say.
Were there any assets or mechanics that didn't make it into the Ashlands update because of like time, or just because they didn't work out? Was there anything that just got cut?
Maybe I shouldn't tell you stuff because then you'll be like, give us that thing that you cut.
No. It's fun to hear what you guys do behind the scenes. I mean, what makes it into the game. Like at this point, we pretty much trust the team to put in the game what feels right for the game. But it's always fun to hear what like you thought you might like to have added, but didn't for whatever reason. Like fire wasn't in the game forever, and then now it is. And years ago, I think it was Grimcore that told us, Robin told us that he wanted vines that grew on walls, but it never made it. Or what was it like? Like a bridge? What was the bridge? The toll bridge?
Drawbridges.
The drawbridges, so those are just fun things to hear about, and like obviously the drawbridges have not made it into the game yet, but tease us with a couple of things. Not yet. I love that he says not yet.
Yeah, I think I'm not gonna spoil anything, but maybe. Okay. But so let's see. I mean, there was a number of so build pieces. There's a lot of new build pieces in Ashlands, but there was definitely a lot of back and forth of like which pieces are what are we gonna give the players, like which pieces are just gonna be part of like natural locations, what are players gonna get, and so on. So there's been kind of a lot of iterations on that. There was a lot of different concepts on what style are they supposed to be, what is the design here. So there's definitely some of that. Also, like a lot of the locations that you'll find. Like there's always a lot of iterations on different like ruins or different places that you're going to find. Like, is there going to be a dungeon? Is there going to be a house, or is there going to be a thing? And there's a lot of locations that were not used in the end because they were changed and the style was changed a little bit. So that is something.
Some of those curved black marble stairs in the dungeons of the Mistlands.
Oh yeah, could be like that. Yeah. So yeah, but there's always a bunch of those pieces in the game, like that you can see. Right. Yeah, like in those locations that are not like open for the player to build.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's see. So there were one of the big things I wanted to ask about were the changes to the map. so the map changed quite a bit because the Ashlands used to be just a bunch of, a large landmass at the bottom of the map, but now it's more of a contained island that you can't access. Were there a lot of challenges with reconfiguring the map to do that, to make the Ashlands happen that way?
I mean, technically, it was not so difficult. I mean, it's more like the problem with it is that we're altering the map in a place where because yes, we've always said like unfinished areas will change, so don't build there if you want to, but of course if you build right on the edge this time, like I'm a bit sad. Like I saw on Reddit there was some videos of people's nice huge builds that were right next to the Ashlands previously. They were like falling down and they had this music and everything. So I do actually I do feel sorry for people like that, and hopefully most people understand that might happen, but it's still like you could have built your base in Mistlands. It was just like a little bit too close to the edge, and now it's gonna be gone, and we don't really like doing stuff like that. So that's one of the things.
I mean,
which was
I will say that you guys did warn us that the Ashlands terrain was going to change, but I didn't see a warning that the deep north was also going to change. And I know a lot of people with like Santa's Workshop builds and that sort of thing, and those are all good.
Yeah, we could have communicated that as well, but at the same time, like if we could have not done that, but we would have had the same situation again when we're gonna like for the next biome. So we decided pretty late. That's probably why, because we said this about the Ashlands quite a while ago, but very late in like just a few days before the PTB, we were like, okay, we're gonna have a little bit of backlash from this. Like people's worlds are gonna change a little bit, so we might as well do this change for the north as well. Then there won't be the same type of effect going into deep north. So that's I think it's a win for everybody, because then in the end, like now you can actually build what you see in front of that border is what you can build on in coming up to the deep north update as well. So sadly there's probably going to be a few builds caught in that crossfire, but I apologize for that. So
one of the players on my server who built his entire base, one I think you guys even visited during the holiday build when you guys came over.
I even remember this. It was really nice.
We did a hot tub stream there too. We like went into his hot tub but he picture of him, he's standing on the ground and he's looking up at like, I don't know, like 20 meters above him. His whole base is just floating there, about ready to fall.
Yeah, but isn't there like, okay, I don't want to be the one suggesting mods here, but like you could always go back in Steam and use a previous branch. So if he has a backup of the world, you can still play that. You'll be able to play that pretty much forever. If you want to keep that save file, you can always be in a different branch and load up the old version and play. So you can always do that. And I do think that there are some community tools to like take your build and copy paste that somewhere else.
Yeah, you can blueprint them. Yeah.
There are actually a few things that I've been suggesting to people for things like this with it's happening. There are ways to, within community tools, as you were saying, where you can make it so that the build pieces have infinite health so that they won't fall initially. You can also go in and actually just use spawnable material. Like if you go in with a previous save and then just use spawnable tools like the roots or the spawnable rocks and frame your build and then outline it in wood iron, you can actually full vanilla go into a previous save and do some things to stabilize it. So even if the terrain changes, it'll be a forever floating build.
Yeah, you could definitely do that. So there are solutions, but sadly there's going to be a bunch of people who don't know about them, and they're just mad or sad or angry, and then they just rage quit the game and leave a negative review on Steam, sadly. So yeah, there's going to be that effect, and we've seen a few examples of that, but hopefully doing that in the deep north now as well will minimize the effect of that going into deep north.
Well, being an early access game, I think people should have the idea in their mind that there could be drastic changes like that to the game. So you gotta, like, Valheim feels so polished, and it has ever since it first came out in early access, that I think
Mhm.
people forget that it is early access. And so if there's a big change like this and your builds are lost or something, like you gotta forgive. Like, we paid our $20 and I got 3,500 hours in for
44
$20,
4,403.
so I say my money well spent. But yeah, if things change and whatnot, like, it's okay. Like, 1.0 release is still in the future, and then maybe you could be a little more critical if there are huge changes after that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
but
exactly. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, objectively, I think it's all good. It's all fine. Like, I think we put a lot of time and effort into making sure that we are backwards compatible, and I think a lot of early access games don't do that, and like actually just wipe everything now and then.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we do really try, but that, I think, like, people are kind of used to it at some point, so they just expect everything to be so perfect then that they might forget that it could have actually been magnitudes worse than it is
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
So, and then again, it's not like we're trying to please everybody. There's whatever we do, there's always going to be people who are not happy about it. So
Yeah.
that's just how it is.
So speaking of changes, what are maybe some of the biggest changes behind the scenes that most players might not notice?
Well, we mentioned the like terrain stuff. Of course, there's going to be new content added to the game, so there's new, like, say, memory-wise, there's always going to be a slight increase, like performance-wise and stuff like that. But we've done some things there as well. So in certain regards, it's actually better performance because we always have to make sure that it's working on Xbox and stuff too. So, but at the same time, of course, those things always change. I don't know. Like, I think most of it is pretty much. I mean, it's mostly a content update in this case. So most of it is there. We did do a patch. We did the patch in that came before Ashlands was like more of a technical patch where we changed how things were loaded. It was a pretty big under the hood change of not loading every single asset into the game that is there, and that changes a lot for modding. And we did try to communicate this with modders ahead of time, and we were really worried that maybe they'll be really angry about this, but actually they were very happy because it opened up some other parts of modding as well. It's just that it probably breaks a lot of old mods. But we did that ahead of time so that there would be time for modders to catch up with this for Ashlands, but also decrease the chance that we have issues with that technical part of it at the actual Ashlands release.
Changing the way things load, did that change or help performance at all? What
Yeah. So as it was before, like, if you have a game that's small enough, like, say you download a game as 30 megs or something, like, all the textures, all the music, everything is small enough that you can just load everything into your RAM and just keep it there, just access it whenever you want. But a AAA, like a big game that's like 100 gigabytes, they have to do a lot of work on really handling like streaming in and out, like what are you seeing, what is not being used, unload stuff, reload stuff, because you can't fit everything. Valheim was like the first type of game in the beginning where we could just load everything. Like, even the last boss is loaded into the game the first second you start the game. Like, it's there, it's ready to be used at any frame. But we could keep doing that. It's just that the game would be using more RAM while you're playing the game, which is fine for most PC players because most PCs have still insane amounts of RAM, and Valheim isn't a huge game. But it's still not great for people with older PCs, and also the Xbox has a hard limit where we have to stay within a certain budget. So now a lot of the assets, like, say, a boss or well, technically not the creatures, but like locations especially, and textures and music and stuff, which is not really like reachable at the moment, won't be loaded in. So when you're going into another area, that'll be like, oh, now you need to use this monster, then that one will start to load in, and there'll be like a slight delay, but it's always happening off screen, so you won't notice it. So yeah, there will be, I mean, in that way, there's a performance increase in the way that you have less stuff loaded, but you always have to, your computer also has to spend some time loading stuff and unloading stuff. So it's a little bit give and take there. Very technical, not so interesting for most players. And that's kind of the boring stuff that we also have to spend a lot of time on,
but that really,
that people might forget.
Yeah, and that's like really valuable to like kind of, hang a lampshade on, be like, hey, these things you might not notice, but these are really important and really help with a lot of things.
Yeah.
I have another question for you. What was the most surprising issue or bug that was revealed during the public test branch for you?
Yeah, I'm sure players reported a lot of things. I think even I reported a few things. Was there anything that surprised you, or?
Okay, I should almost check my list.
I know the one.
I'm sure. Yeah, there were a lot of things reported.
The one that Smithy reported on our behalf was that when a tree would catch on fire, it would ring the dinner bell.
Yeah. That's a more interesting one. I mean, it was super easy to fix, but
can you explain what that means, MD, for anybody who doesn't understand what ring the dinner bell means?
Sorry. So when we first landed on Ashlands, we landed on the beach, and the sun rate was really kind of intense, and we're just like, all right. Oh boy. Oh, okay. And we continue to call that base Normandy now, because it felt like a true reenactment of the Battle of Normandy. It was just non-stop. And, Spiffy was actually watching, and he was like, oh, let me have that world save file real quick. And so, of course, we're like, yeah, sure, we'll happily share this information. And what was happening is that every time, and please correct me for nuances, every time a tree would catch on fire, it would make a sound, and the game would register the sound as the player making that sound. So you know how when you go into the Black Forest and you start chopping wood, all the Grey Dwarves come swarming because you're making the sound and bringing them to you? Well, in the Ashlands, every time a tree would catch on fire, the game would register as you were making that sound. And then for extensive ranges, creatures were coming in because you were in an area where a tree caught on fire.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. So that's basically the whole issue. Like, exactly for the reasons that you said. Like, if you chop a tree, that attracts monsters. And the tree code is just like, oh, the tree is taking damage, attract monsters. So even though it was fire doing the damage, it would just like, it would attract monsters, basically. So and it I guess it was a bit fun that but that this was caught so late, because I mean, we balanced the game kind of after this, but at the same time it's very different if you happen to be fighting close to trees or not. So once we turned this off, we were like, okay, oh yeah, this isn't how it's supposed to be, let's just fix this. So we turned it off, and then we patched that, and then we're like, whoa, wait, what happened? It's way too easy now. Where are all the monsters? Because some of the balance had been done as like with that there. So yeah, then we had to rebalance it up again. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I mean, yeah, I guess that's one of the more interesting ones. We had a few other ones where, like, I mean, feedback-wise, it's been really good. Like, we've had a lot of smaller issues been found, like these really annoying things that just fix them and have them ready for the live release. But also, if you like missing a set bonus of one of the armors, which was kind of, and then also like there was a certain bug where you could, it's kind of rare, and it was actually there before Ashlands, but it would happen more often in Ashlands because of how the game is set up, where a monster would like infinitely drop items. So
that's not good.
That's not good. I mean, it sounds good because you want items, but it's not good because it would drop really like every single frame, and it would just eat up.
Yeah, that's going to lag the zone out and crash the game probably.
Yeah. It would, exactly. It would just fill up until you crash.
Yeah.
And then when it crashes, if you're unlucky, that could have even ruined your save file because it's so many items there, and maybe it was like crashing during the writing of the save or something. So luckily that was really rare. So not sure if any player actually ran into that, but we have a really good tester, and he figured this one out, so we could fix that ahead of time. And actually, the not as fun part either was that this bug was actually fixed way back long ago. But it was reintroduced because of a merge. And a merge is like when I code something here, we also get code from, like, for example, the console guys, and then we merge stuff together. Sometimes, like, we change stuff in the same places, and then the merge tools say that, oh, everything went fine, but actually one of the lines that was important disappeared. Those are the scariest coding issues, where, like, you don't even know, because you know that you fixed it at some point, and then you're like, why is this gone? Why would somebody remove this?
Yeah.
Kind of like a ghost in the machine.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Well,
all right.
one of the bugs that I still notice, and I don't know if you have it on your list there, but every other letter in the name gets capitalized and lowercase. If you try, if I type my whole name in uppercase letters, when you go into the game, every other letter is lowercase. Do you know that?
I haven't noticed it. Is it fixed?
No, it's right now. It happens. It just happened yesterday. Yeah, I posted a picture on your Discord with I hit F2. I showed all the players' names, and anybody who used capital letters in their name, every other letter starting with the second letter, it's forced lowercase, uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase.
I actually noticed that with my
just a funny little bug.
And I was like, did I do that? I don't remember doing that.
Yeah. I thought I had like let go of the shift when I typed my name or something. So I redid it, and it was the same thing. And I checked everybody's names, and everybody's name's the same thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. It
that's
doesn't like capital letters every other letter. So
that's a weird one. I mean, I haven't seen that yet, actually. I've had a few hectic days of other meetings and stuff here, so maybe I missed it, but hopefully it will show up in our bug queue eventually. It sounds like it should be an easy thing to fix, but it's very weird that a thing like that would show up. So
yeah. I really hope that my one like hopeful bug fix that gets fixed. It looks like you tried to fix it, but because it was in the patch notes in the PTB, but it's not fixed. And that's the finding the mysterious locations. Are those Vigvasirs? Are those runestones? Like, what do you guys?
Yeah, Vigvasirs.
Yeah, they are the Vigvasirs. Okay, so like the Vigvasirs for the mysterious locations. When we first found them, we got one to one location, and then the second one we found went to the same location. And this was in first week of PTB. And then there was the patch that came out, and they were like, now any consecutive Vigvasirs should point you to the next location. Mm-hmm. And it worked for the second site, but it is still not working for the third site. We've run all the way to the opposite end of all of the different landmass of Ashlands and found the locations where you find those, hit them, and they just send you back. That's all the way across the other side of the continent to the second one that we found. So
okay,
I'm really hoping that one. I did send that in, so
yeah, you send it in again and say that it's still not okay. Yeah, I'm it's probably there, and hopefully that will. I mean, it should get fixed. If it doesn't, bug me, and I will double check that it does get fixed.
I can send you my world save file.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it could also be connected to, like, because you already discovered a location that had a broken one. Maybe it's not fixed. But I'm not 100% sure about that. So hopefully I mean, even if we fix it, hopefully that should be fixed for old locations as well. But as long as it's still an issue, and in the latest one, feel free to report them, and we will try to get them fixed as soon as we can.
What is the best, most successful place to report a bug?
Yeah, so actually, we've had it's not been great in the past. Like it's been kind of like there's some different bad ways to do it, and usually sometimes if you're lucky it works. But the best way now is to use the form on the website, which is like valheim.com/support. Because then they go straight into our bug tracker. Like, we didn't even have a bug tracker not super long ago. So we just like, I had my lists, I have like my Google Docs, and like some people will DM me stuff, and I'm like, oh, I have to look at that, and like I see stuff on YouTube, or we have the feature upvote site, which also get a lot. We get a lot of emails. There's like so many different channels, but right now the absolutely best way is to just fill it in there, because then it'll go to our QA manager, who will try to look through it. Like if it's a well-written one where you can like say do exactly like this and this will happen, then, and if it's a bug, then it will definitely be fixed. Like if it's very abstract, or like if it says, oh, something like this happened, somebody will take a look at it, and if they can't get it to happen again, then we might be like, well, we can't fix it if we can't find the problem.
Yeah.
So so the more information you can give is always better, but use the website form. That is the best one right now.
Yeah. So go to valheimgame.com, right? And
yeah, I think it's just Valheim now, right? I
Yeah,
think
I thought it was.
is it just Valheim?
Yeah, we had Valheim game. We registered Valheim.com. Not. Yeah,
Oh
it was
yeah,
a while
you guys
ago,
do
but
have
Valheim.com/support.
Yep.
And there's a form there, and there's also a list. It's a little bit hard to see, maybe, but there's a list of known issues there.
Mhm.
So you can see that, so that you don't need to report things that have been reported 100 times already. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for spending time with us to talk about the game. Obviously, we love it over on Twitch, on YouTube, doing podcasts. This is a awesome ride. We love to chat with you guys when you have time, and hopefully you guys will get some vacation time here soon. I know you guys have been working hard on Ashlands, and the summer's coming up, so hopefully you guys will have some vacation time there. But I know you're excited to jump into working on the Deep North, because you're done with Ashlands. Like you guys have been dealing with. For us, Ashlands is new, but for you, it's old. You guys have been working on it for the past year or more, right? Like, you're ready for a new challenge, I'm sure. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Jonathan.
And
thank you very much.
Say, we said something to Grimcore just recently, but like, since you get all of the good and the bad feedback, I just want to let you know that the overall reception of Ashlands is incredibly enthusiastic.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I'm hoping that will be like after the first honeymoon phase as well, that people will feel that way. But I think there's quite a bit of nice stuff there. So hopefully there will be something interesting going on there for a while. So
yeah, like, I mean, at first it's hard when you're under-leveled and under-geared.
Yeah.
But that's every biome. Yeah, that's every biome until you gear up more, right?
But like, I have to say that we, my community, the group of people that I've been playing with, have been having an absolute blast. Complaints, bugs aside, it's still it feels so good. And I'm actually going to be tackling No Map Ashlands this weekend, because we just defeated the queen. We just found and defeated the queen.
And in the No Map from the beginning, or?
Oh yeah, No Map from the beginning.
Wow. Nice.
Started in September. Awesome. So very much looking forward to that as well. So yeah, just wanted to let you know in terms of like gameplay feedback. I've spent the last week and a half solidly in the PTB. Very enthusiastic.
Well, I appreciate it. It's really nice to hear. It's really nice, and I'm impressed. It's really cool you do a No Map all the way to Ashlands. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And like you said, we're very happy to be done with it. There's still some stuff to do, but we're also very enthusiastic about getting busy on Deep North. Like we've definitely been sneaking in some time and doing stuff there already. So that's going to be a lot of fun, I think. But I do think also we need some vacation and maybe some time off. But that's sometimes hard, because it's like, but I just want to work on this next thing too.
I have to appreciate the passion for the project.
I think that's the only way to make a really good game, if you have people who really are passionate about it. So hopefully we can stay passionate to the end. But I think we do. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. That's it for now. Have fun out there.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Bye.